In a small, cheerful town nestled between rolling hills and lush green fields, lived a group of children who filled every corner of their neighborhood with laughter and joy. Their days were not just ordinary, they were filled with magic, learning, and fun. These children believed that each day was an adventure waiting to unfold. Among them was Ali, a curious and imaginative boy who loved to build things. From wooden blocks to cardboard castles, Ali could create anything he dreamed of. Then there was Sarah, a bright and energetic girl who adored painting. Her fingers were always dipped in color, and her room was like a rainbow exploded on canvas. Hamza and Amina, the twins, were always up for games, running, jumping, and climbing trees like little monkeys. Morning adventures, learning through play. Each morning after breakfast, the children would gather at the town park. It was their magical land, full of slides, swings, seesaws, and grassy fields. One day they decided to play nature detectives. With little notebooks and magnifying glasses, they explored the area, looking for different types of leaves, bugs, and birds. They made drawings, wrote notes, and even gave names to the ants they saw carrying crumbs. It was not just play, it was learning disguised as fun. They learned how caterpillars turned into butterflies and how each tree had a different kind of leaf. They asked questions, guessed answers, and learned together. Their laughter was louder than the chirping birds, and their happiness spread like sunshine. Afternoon creativity, the art of expression. After lunch, the kids gathered in Sarah's backyard. With paints, clay, and craft paper, they turned simple afternoons into creative festivals. Ali built a spaceship using empty tissue boxes and glue, while Amina made a crown out of paper flowers. Sarah painted a picture of their group as superheroes flying over the town, saving the world with crayons and kindness. Even Hamza, who usually didn't like art, surprised everyone by making a kite. "It's not just a kite," he said proudly. "It's a dream that flies." They clapped, cheered, and shared their creations with each other. It wasn't about being perfect. It was about expressing who they were. Evening games, teamwork, and friendship. As the sun began to set, the children gathered in the open field near the school. It was time for sports and group games. They played cricket, tag, hide and seek, and sometimes made up their own games. There were races and challenges, and they always encouraged each other. One day during a game of tug-of-war, their rope broke. Instead of being upset, they laughed and decided to play a new game called rope rescue, where they pretended to be mountain climbers, pulling each other to safety. This showed how their friendship turned even a problem into a joyful moment. Nighttime reflections, a special bond. Before going to bed, many of the children would write in their journals. Ali wrote about what he built that day. Sarah sketched the sunset, and the twins wrote silly poems. Their parents smiled as they listened to the children's stories about magical creatures, brave missions, and funny moments. The activities weren't just about fun, they helped the children grow. They learned to think, to share, to create, and to care. They built friendships, discovered talents, and collected memories that would stay with them forever. One breezy morning, as the children gathered under the big banyan tree in the park, Sarah excitedly waved a piece of paper in the air. "I have an idea," she shouted. The others ran toward her with curiosity. "What is it?" asked Ali, already imagining rockets and robots. Sarah spread the paper on the ground. It was a colorful drawing of a stage, decorations, and happy faces. "Let's organize a children's festival," she said. "We can show everything we do, our games, our paintings, even our stories." A hush of excitement spread over the group. Hamza jumped up. "Yes, and I'll organize a cricket match." Amina clapped her hands. "And I'll make flower garlands for everyone." The idea was set. Each child had a role to play. Planning the festival, teamwork in action. The next few days were full of action. Ali and two of his friends collected cardboard boxes, old clothes, and empty bottles to build models and games. They made a mini city with tiny cars and traffic signs. Sarah and a group of girls started making banners with paints and glitter. They wrote, "Welcome to the Children's Festival, a world of fun." Hamza and Amina gathered all the kids to plan a talent show. Some kids wanted to sing, some wanted to act, and others were ready to tell jokes or dance. Even the younger children helped by collecting flowers and leaves for decoration. The park slowly turned into a magical land full of color, laughter, and creativity. The big day, a celebration of childhood, the festival day arrived. Parents, teachers, neighbors, all came to see the event. Children wore colorful clothes and the park looked like a dream. The festival began with a parade. The children marched with their creations, kites, paintings, clay models, and even a puppet show. Then came the talent show. Little Zoya sang a sweet song that made everyone smile. Hamza and his friends performed a funny skit that made the crowd laugh. Ali explained how his model town worked, pointing to tiny lights he had fixed using old batteries. Everyone clapped in amazement. Sarah's art wall had drawings from many kids, rainbows, trees, families, and dreams. The message was clear. Every child had something beautiful to share. Parents were proud, teachers were inspired, and the children felt like stars. End of the day, a memory forever. As the sun dipped behind the hills, the festival ended with sparklers and warm hugs. The children sat together under the banyan tree, tired but glowing with happiness. "We did it," whispered Amina. "Yes," said Ali, "and we showed the world that children are full of ideas, dreams, and magic. They promised to do this every year, to celebrate childhood not just with toys, but with love, creativity, and unity." Moral of the story: when children are encouraged to express themselves through fun, learning, and teamwork, they grow not just in skill, but in heart. Their innocence, energy, and creativity can light up the world. The Children's Festival had come to an end, but the feelings it left behind were just beginning to bloom in the hearts of the children and their families. That night, as stars blinked above the quiet town, every home was filled with stories of wonder, laughter, and pride. Ali sat beside his father, who gently placed a hand on his shoulder. "You built an entire town with your own hands," he said with admiration. "One day you might become an engineer or an inventor." Ali smiled, not because of the praise, but because someone had seen his dream. Sarah's mother hung her rainbow painting in the living room. "This deserves to be seen every day," she said. "Your colors have filled our home with happiness." Sarah held her mother tightly, realizing that her art had the power to touch hearts. Hamza and Amina received a surprise from their teacher, a certificate of leadership for organizing the talent show. "You both brought so many children together," she said. "That is a rare gift." The lasting impact. Seeds of the future. The festival had planted seeds, seeds of confidence, creativity, and unity. Children who were once shy found their voices. Others discovered new talents they never knew they had. Parents began to understand that childhood wasn't just about studying and grades, but about exploring, dreaming, and expressing. A week later, the local school principal called a special assembly. "What our children have shown us," as she said, "is that learning happens everywhere. On the playground, in the art corner, during teamwork. We will now include more creative activities in our school program." The whole town started changing. Parks got new swings and slides. A reading corner was set up under the banyan tree. Art walls were painted on school fences for children to display their drawings. A little science lab was made using recycled materials, led by none other than Ali. A farewell to the story, but not the spirit. Time moved on. The children grew older, but the memories of that summer, of that magical festival, stayed with them forever. Ali became an engineer who designed eco-friendly houses. Sarah opened her own art studio to teach village children. Hamza and Amina started a children's club that organized storytelling nights, weekend sports, and even tree planting events. Every year on the same day as their first festival, they returned to the park, now named Children's Harmony Garden. It had a plaque that read, "This park celebrates the power of play, imagination, and childhood dreams. Let every child be heard, seen, and celebrated." They would sit under the old banyan tree, watch new children playing, and smile, because they knew their childhood had built something beautiful, not just for themselves, but for every child who came after. Final message. Childhood is not just a stepping stone to adulthood. It is the foundation of imagination, courage, and kindness. Every activity, every game, every drawing shapes a child's soul. Let us nurture it, Let us celebrate it, for in every child's laughter lives the hope of a brighter, more joyful world.